Hello everybody, Chef Bob here today. We're going to make split pea soup with delicious ham bone. So one of the things, I'll just cover a couple of things that are, apply to all the cooking videos. One is, always make sure your knives are sharp. And here, this isn't a sharpening stone. This is just to hone it, a honing steel. And what that does, it straightens out the edge of the blade. So I do this every time I go to use a knife. It straightens out the edge to maintain maximum sharpness. Now if that edge gets destroyed from using a really hard cutting board or hitting bones or other materials, then you may need to resharpen the edge. Put a new bevel on it. This just straightens the edge and puts it at sharp as possible. Now we have that sharp. What we're going to do is, for the split pea soup, I have about 2 pounds of split peas, an onion, a couple of potatoes, carrots, and you normally don't put green pepper in split pea soup, but I wanted to get rid of it. And this is another thing I wanted to show, is that whenever you're making soups or stews, don't be afraid to deviate from the original recipe. And, throw something else in. I just want to get rid of this. It was frozen. I want to get rid of it. And I'm also using more carrots maybe than I typically would, because again, I want to finish them up, get them out of the refrigerator, and I'll make a delicious split pea soup. So what I've done was, with the split peas, I've already emptied a bag out. I put them in a strainer. I've rinsed them and checked them for any rocks or twigs, and I've put them in my bowl. Now I'm going to prepare some of the vegetables. First we'll start with the carrots. Now I scrub my carrots. I don't peel them anymore because it throws away too much of the actual body. So I scrub them, and then if the tops are looking a little nasty, I'll just trim off the tops. Little waste bowl. And now we're just going to cut them into small pieces for the soup. I'm not overly concerned with it, with the size. I just want to get them fairly small. They're going to melt into the soup. And I'm just going to finish cutting these very quickly. Now you could use a food processor or a chopper also instead of cutting these up by hand, but there really aren't that many. And it'll only take me another minute or two to finish these. And I'm using a pressure cooker, which I believe is off camera. I'll bring it on camera later. It's to my left over here. And I'm going to do that because I want all of these vegetables and the split peas to really melt together and all their flavors to just join each other. So that's a good portion of carrots. Again, that's more carrots than I would normally use. However, I wanted to empty them out of the refrigerator. Next we have an onion. I'm going to put a whole onion in. I like onion. There's 1,000,001 ways to cut up an onion. Again, I'm not overly concerned with the size of the pieces. They're going to melt down in the pressure cooker. And when I say melt, they don't actually melt, but they break down with the temperature and the pressure. We'll just put some type of slice on these into a small, medium-sized chunk. Okay. Now I'm going to put those also into the pressure cooker. We have some potatoes. Now, I don't have the peeler out, actually. Where is the peeler? Here it is. I'm using a ceramic peeler, which I find to be very handy. Works very well. And we'll just peel these very quickly. Those onions were strong. My eyes are starting to burn. We'll just peel these up very quickly. That's one. Bad spot. So for a bad spot, depending how deep it is, if it's really bad, you can get a paring knife and cut it off. For me, I just ran the peeler over it, A couple of times I got rid of it. I'm fine. I'm happy with that. It wasn't very deep. More of a surface blemish on the potato. Again, these ceramic peelers are very nice, very sharp, very nice. Okay, then our little scrap bowl. And again, cutting it just to, a small size, but nothing, it doesn't have to be that accurate. We're just going to throw it in there. So I'm just sort of doing a rough dice. And the split pea soup will thicken just from the nature of it being split pea soup, which you normally cook down until the peas break down. And the potatoes will also break down and thicken it. Depending how long you leave it cook in the pressure cooker, they'll also remain to some degree. So you'll have small pieces, unless you want to run it through a blender or immersion blender later and make it totally creamy. It's totally up to you if you want some chunks in your split pea soup or do you want it totally creamy. I've made it both ways. I like it both ways. So we've added the potato. Now we have the green pepper. I'm just going to pull the center out here. Now some people are particular about getting all the seeds out or the white material saying it's bitter. I tend to leave it all intact. I don't find it to be bitter or anything. And the seeds, I don't mind the seeds either. Depending who you talk to, some will say more nutrients are in the skin, some will say in the white material, some will say in the seeds. So you know what? I'm just going to put it all in. I don't mind it. I always put it all in. And green pepper isn't something that you normally find in split pea soup. I guarantee that. However, if you have something in your refrigerator, some vegetables you just want to get rid of, hey, throw it in. So I'm just going to throw that into the pressure cooker. And I'll show you, I'll pull the insert out, show you what we have so far. This is what we have so far. We've layered it. And what we'll add next is, here's our ham. I baked it earlier, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this cool a little bit more since I just pulled it out, and I'm going to cut around it and get the bone out, put it in here, and I'm also going to add some garlic, which I don't have out. Okay everybody, we're back, and the ham is cooled. I brought the pressure cooker over here, and again we have all of our sliced up vegetables, which I had shown you earlier. I also want to add a couple more things. I have right here some garlic I wanted to add, just because I like it. A teaspoon of salt, and a teaspoon of pepper. Okay, we have all those things in there. And now what I've done was this cooled, and I took out a sort of a boning style of knife. It's a medium to long length, and it's slender. It allows you to carve around bones. What I've done was I've taken the ham, and I went in and cut around the bone, and then around the back. As you see, I didn't slice the ham yet. I didn't serve it yet. What I want to do is I just want to get this soup going. So as you see, I've just cut around the bone. I left quite a bit of meat on here because I want the meat into the soup. So there you have it. This is most of the bone right here, and here's a nice chunk of ham, which I'll have in there. So I'm just going to put that whole thing in there, and we'll put this ham aside right now. We'll put this out of the way. And what we need to do now is we need to cover that with water. And I believe I have a pitcher of water here. And we'll just pour that in. You want to pretty much cover everything, because those split peas are going to require a lot of water. And there we are. We're about 2/3 full. When you're using a pressure cooker, that's what you want to be at about the 2/3 full level. You really don't want to go higher than that. Yes, you can. Then you have to be a little careful of it clogging the vent. So we have all of our ingredients in there, our ham. Now we're going to close and lock the lid. We put it on pressure. I already have it turned on and set to soup mode, and it's coming up to pressure. So now we'll just let it do its thing, and we'll come back when it's done and see what it looks like. Alright, it's been about 2 hours in the pressure cooker with our split pea soup. As you see, in the meantime, I've carved up the ham. And I'm going to spoon this out and show you. Now, I'll show you the two ways, the way it comes out. And if you can see, there's some chunkiness to it, right? I mean, the peas are all melted, but you still see some chunks of carrot and potato and ham. Now, if you prefer to have it all very creamy, I put this here. You can see. So that's the chunky style. And if you want to have it creamy, you can put it into a blender. Let me just grab some, make sure not to grab the ham bone. Let's put it in here. A couple scoops. This is hot, so you have to be careful. I'll just put a little bit in there just to show you. So now this will be the very creamy version. I'm going to hold this lid on loosely because since it's hot, it's going to create a lot of pressure when I start to blend it. Well, actually, okay, there we go. That should do. And turn it on. Here we go. As I'm blending, you can see the steam coming out of the top if you look closely. Alright, I think that'll do it. And this is your creamy version. Look at that. Super creamy split pea soup. So there you have it. Split pea soup 2 ways. Home style chunky and extra creamy. And that was about 2 hours. And there you have it. Now you have fresh ham, delicious split pea soup. You're all set. Thank you for watching.